As Australian expats living here for the last 5 years, we've come up with a list of 10 things that everybody needs to know if they're planning on moving to Russia or just coming here to visit.
Staying warm is not just about the clothes that you have, but how you wear them. It's better to have your thermals and your clothes that are closest to your skin a little bit bigger, so you're not restricting yourself with movement or blood flow, because the more blood flow, the warmer you'll actually stay.
And that goes the same for your shoes. You need to make sure you have plenty of room. Basically, you don't want to be cutting the circulation off. If you do that by having too many socks on, or your socks are too tight, or your shoes are too small, you might get your foot into those nice shoes, but your toes will still freeze because you've compressed all the insulation on the inside and restricted blood flow.
It's better just to get that shoe that's a bit bigger. A nice quality pair of thin wool socks will get you a lot further than stuffing your foot into a shoe that's too small. Winter boots that are specifically designed for winter are a must. You might think that just a pair of nice leather boots will cut it, but they really won't. Winter boots are actually made with a special rubber sole that is a little bit softer and doesn't freeze up in the minus temperatures. And believe me, you definitely want to buy these specifically designed winter boots, or you'll end up like this guy. Another great tip is to buy your winter clothes when you get here. Your suitcase space is super valuable real estate, and packing it full of really bulky winter gear might not be the best use of your space. So buy your stuff when you get here. There's so many great options, all the way down from your basics all the way up to branded stuff. It's true, some of the brands you can't get here anymore, but there are still some fantastic brands here, and buying your clothes here is a really great idea. Another tip is to wear layers. Even though the outside temperatures might be really cold, which they usually are here in Siberia, inside the homes it's a completely different story. If you go inside lots of the apartments, anyway from our experience, there's a huge temperature difference, and it can be like plus 26, plus 27, on a good day only plus 22, but it's really warm inside the apartment. So if you're going to visit someone, or you're going to a shopping centre or something like that, it's important to wear layers so you can take that outer jacket off and take the scarves off, that extra sweater off, and actually be comfortable when you're inside. And also, a good quality thermal layer is really, really good too, because something that's wool will help your body to breathe and wick away moisture, so you're just more pleasant to be around and you stay cooler.
Very comfortable. Can't recommend natural base layers enough. Shopping in Russia is different. Well, not that different. Everything's in Russian, of course.
There are many grocery stores here in Russia, well, stores in general actually, that have self-checkouts. And this is super helpful for us foreigners or expats, because a lot of times they allow you to choose your preferred language. So you can select English and do all of your shopping in English. And this is super helpful when you first get here. Another great one is, did you know that Google Translate has a picture camera translation function? This is very helpful when shopping, as it makes translating product labels and ingredient lists so much faster. It's super handy, especially if you're gluten-free, dairy-free, or have any kind of intolerance.
So if you're planning to move to Russia or just to visit, definitely add that to your applications list.
It makes shopping so much easier.
So one thing that people probably would find a little bit strange is that shopping in the bigger stores is not actually cheaper, which is contrary to what we thought. Obviously, coming from Australia, you kind of think that big stores means better prices because they have better purchasing power. But here we found that the price between a small shop 2 minutes down the road and the big shop that you had to drive an hour to get to is about the same. The only difference will be variety and how much of a particular product they'll stock.
If you want to buy in bulk, obviously a bigger store is going to carry more, but in general, price to price, the smaller stores really aren't that much more expensive in our experience.
So just go where it's convenient.
Yeah.
For all our Australian viewers who find themselves looking at the menu and find something they thought was familiar, cutlets in Russia are not cutlets. It's what is it?
It's a rissole.
Basically like a patty of some kind, like a rissole.
This is what it looks like.
Yeah, will be on the screen. So you may have heard that if you're going to Russia, you're going to need to bring cash. And while I would recommend that you take a few rubles wherever you go, most places will now accept direct transfers. So whether that's a Vito, the plumber, even immigration help services, They'll accept direct transfer using your phone number. And also, if you're going to be spending any large amount of time in Russia, to open a Russian bank account, because this will make it a lot easier to do different things. Like we said, you can transfer using your phone number. This is super handy, especially if you find yourself short a few rubles. It also allows you to pay your speeding fines and other government services through it, which is super handy.
So when it comes to getting around Russia, there are a few things more helpful than Yandex Maps. So whether you're going from the airport to your accommodation, or you just want to get around and see the sights, or you need to go back and forth to different services, shops, whatever it is, Yandex Maps is so super handy. If you're needing to take the bus, Yandex Maps shows live buses en route, so you can see what bus is coming when, exactly the route that bus takes, how long you need to wait. If taking the bus isn't your thing and you want to grab a taxi, you can order your taxi right there in the app. It'll show you the cost. You can even pick what type of taxi you want to use. It also is really great if you want to take your own car. You just punch in the address you need to go to and it gives you directions beforehand so you know what turns you need to take, and super handy, gives lots and lots of extra information like speed limits and all those sorts of things. For a pro tip, make sure you check out our Boosty page, because we actually share a tip we found super helpful down there in our extra content on Boosty.
That's right, Yandex is super handy, and if you have to fuel up, you can even pay for fuel at some of the servos within the app. And if you're planning a long route, you can set different places like to stop along the way, look up different businesses, find out where the nearest food spots are, or servos, that's a petrol station, or a service station, gas station for other people who might be watching from other countries. Yeah, it's a lot like other map applications, but in our testing for here in Russia, Yandex seems to have the quicker routes and more up-to-date road traffic information. So you've gotten used to the convenience of Amazon and you're wondering how you're going to do without it because Russia doesn't have Amazon. We've got good news for you. Russia has loads of very good online marketplaces where they have good reviews, sometimes even videos of the product. They have pickup points which are often not even more than 5 minutes walk down the road. And if you're buying clothes, that's super handy and convenient because you can try the clothes on before you take them. If you don't like them or it's not your size, you can just leave them there and then order something else. They do home delivery as well. If you're buying clothes or something like that, it's just a lot easier to go to the pickup point, try it on. If it fits, it's great, you can take it home. If not, you just leave it there. It makes the return process really easy. Two of our favorite are Ozon, which is like Amazon but without the M, and Wildberries. And they have everything. They have from nuts and bolts, car parts, clothing, nappies, food, cosmetics, basically everything. We even found Vegemite on there.
And these aren't just a big city thing either. Most of the places that we've lived, we've had pickup points within 5 minutes walking distance of where we live. Another great online marketplace is Avito. So if you're a second-hand bargain hunter like I am, Avito's a great spot to go because they sell everything from furniture, food, they sell new, they sell second-hand, and I've gotten a lot of children's clothes from there, and it's really handy because you can actually message the sellers. So if you're not fluent in Russian or you're just traveling here in Russia, you can hop on there, chuck in a translated message and talk directly to the seller. You can also select delivery, which takes heaps of hassle out of trying to organize to meet up with someone, or if you want to buy something in a different city. Super handy. And another great thing you can do on there is find accommodation.
So Avito is a good place to find a car or washing machine, but it's also a great place to find somewhere to put those things. So whether you're looking to buy or rent, Avito is a great way to find a place to put a roof over your head. If you are planning on staying in Russia long term, might find difficult is finding a long-term rental as a foreigner. So it might be a good idea to find an agent or just be prepared to call up a few people before you find the right landlord for you. Another thing, if you're planning on staying long term, it might be a good option to buy a house. This will allow you to register yourself at your own residence because getting registration can be quite a hassle sometimes.
Some alternate sites to Avito are places like Sound or Zilfond. These are agent sites where you can find long-term rentals or homes to buy, and they sort of work as your intermediary, so they can be a little easier.
So if you're planning on moving to Russia or thinking about visiting and would like to learn the language, start now. because you will enjoy your stay a whole lot better if you understand a little bit of the language. And the locals will be tickled pink if you put a bit of effort into learning some of their language and culture. They really appreciate that. So you're planning on moving and are wondering what is the best way to learn the language? Time, with a capital T. Time is what it's going to take to learn the language. There's no way of getting around that. So there are strategies that make it easier, but at the end of the day, it's repetition that is going to help you conquer this language. Get yourself a good exercise book and just repeat the exercises over and over and over. Write common phrases on everyday items, just different phrases, different actions that you do every day, and put them on little sticky notes and put them all over your house and repeat them every time you see them. It's going to be a little bit tedious at the start, but with time you'll learn so much. Another important thing is to get as much listening practice in as you can. So what we like to do is find music that we like and then just have it on, in the house in the background, and then sometimes even just put like little children's videos on or something like that with subtitles. I find it's helpful to have Russian subtitles on because then you get to see how the words are spelt. Another really good way to learn the language, once you've gotten a little bit under your belt already, is to find language exchange partners. These can be found on places like italki or even Facebook and Telegram or VK groups, and are a really good way of getting conversational Russian practice. The good thing about that is that you can do that even while you're not in the country, so you can start today.
What you need to do if you're planning to travel to Russia or move to Russia, start today. There is no shortcutting learning the Russian language. When you arrive in Russia, one of the first things you should do is grab yourself a SIM card and a phone plan. There's lots of companies here in Russia like Beeline, Megafon, Tele2, lots of companies to choose from. We personally chose Beeline because at the time it had the best unlimited internet plan, and also it had good coverage outside the city limits. Do be prepared though, we get stacks of pop-ups, and if you accidentally select extra services, yeah, they're really hard to turn off, so be careful with that. But the apps themselves are super simple, so you can just hop on there, recharge anytime you need without having to go into an actual store to reload or try and find somewhere to buy recharge vouchers.
While we're on the subject of communication, another thing that would be good to get, some kind of application where you can communicate back home over the internet, so something like Telegram, WhatsApp, Skype, Signal. We use Telegram because for the most part it's been more reliable for video calls, but you can use Signal or WhatsApp as well. Skype if you're in a pinch, I guess. One of the good things about Telegram, it works on your computer as well, so you can have like a full screen if you're going to do video calls back home, and it helps you stay in contact with relatives while you're away. We found it really handy.
Yeah, super important to stay in contact with people back home. Another side note is if you are planning on using Facebook and Instagram whilst here in Russia, they currently do not work unless you have some kind of VPN. Even then, there's a lot of VPNs that don't work. So that's just something to be aware of when you come over. Yeah.
Yeah, I did that because Nate just zapped me. Russian festivals. So some of the big festivals are, of course, New Year's. That's probably one of the biggest festivals here. There's so many activities on around that time of the year, so depending on which cities you're in, definitely look up what's happening, because there could be all kinds of things, activities for children, adults. Some of it's free, some of it's paid. You just have to look around and see. I don't know what Moscow's like. Novosibirsk had quite a few, and yeah, that can be quite a lot of fun for the whole family. One of the interesting things about Russia is that they don't really celebrate Christmas, just kind of like the Protestant Christians will do Christmas on the 25th, and the rest of everybody has it on the 7th of January, according to the old calendar. The Orthodox Church also celebrates New Year's on the 14th, also old calendar. So New Year's period here kind of goes for like 2 weeks. It goes leading up to New Year's, like on the 1st of January, and then it goes for another, like till the 14th of January. So on the one hand, it's a really festive season. On the other hand, it can be a real pain in the neck if you're trying to do documents or stuff like that, because everybody goes on holidays for 2 weeks. Another thing that's pretty cool, I've forgotten the date, I think it's the 17th of January, might be wrong, could be the 19th. But they have baptism day, which is like, they go like an ice plunge. Quite often in cities, there'll be a river or somewhere where you can go and take an icy bath. They'll often have banyas or some kind of place where, like tents, where you can get warm afterwards, or you can just hack a hole and do it yourself, but do that at your own risk. Some of the other big festivals include 8 Marta, which is like International Women's Day, but here it's just kind of celebrated more than in the Western world. It's just a time where they give flowers to all the ladies and girls, and it's kind of sweet. Another big one, which happens before 8 Marta, is the 23rd of February, which is Defender of the Fatherland's Day. It's kind of like the men's version of the holiday. Not so big, but they do have military parades and events at different memorial parks at that time. Another big holiday is 9th of May. It's kind of a little bit like Anzac Day if you're from Australia, except for the date is significant because it's when the surrender papers were signed, Moscow time. It was actually done at night on the 8th, but by the time everything came through, it was the 9th. We've been to a few of them, and it's always a great time out. Hopefully one day we'll make it to the Moscow one. Another one which you probably wouldn't have heard of, one of the lesser known ones which we kind of stumbled across, was Russia Day, which is on the 12th of June. It's in the summertime, so it's actually quite a nice time to be out and about, and they quite often have some kind of festival, some traditional Russian music and all kind of food vendors and stuff. Yeah, it's just a nice time to be out. Definitely a good idea to talk to a local and ask them about festivals coming up or whatever. Or get onto the forums before you come so you can see if there's anything on around the time you plan on coming. So we've already talked about apps a little bit, and we do plan on making a video dedicated to handy apps for Russia, but we will just touch on a few that we found really helpful. Yandex Translate and Yandex Browser. It helps with translating English movies into Russian. That can really help with trying to learn Russian. Because obviously the Yandex suite of apps is pretty handy here in Russia with as far as maps go and all the like Yandex Eats and all that kind of thing.
Google Translate, Video. Another great app is Pochta Russia app. The Pochta Russia app is like the Russian postal service. It's a really great application to have. Once you have an account, it automatically propagates your account if a parcel is registered to you on the system. You'll get a notification saying your parcel has arrived in the country. You'll get notifications all along the way right up until the day they deliver it or you pick it up. It's super good and handy.
Another super tip, bonus information, if you're going to somewhere like the post office or some kind of service where there's a queue, they have what's called live queues here, and what that means is you can go into a venue and find a queue, then all of a sudden get shocked when 2 or 3 people just jump in line in front of you and you're like, how rude. But what happens here is people will say "Kto последний" or "Kto крайний," it means who's last, and then they'll say I'm last or that man's last or whatever, because they don't sit in a queue. They'll be like just a group of people waiting. So then what will happen is they'll go, oh, I'm after him, and then they'll go away, they'll go to the shop, they'll come back, and then they'll see where that man is, and then they'll just jump in line behind him, or they'll stand around like everybody else is doing, and then when he has his turn, then they'll walk up. Something that took us a little bit by surprise at the start, because it's certainly not what we're used to in Australia, but we're used to it now, and hopefully this helps you guys. Well guys, thanks so much for watching. We really appreciate it. If you want to support the channel, you can check out the links below. Buy Me a Coffee has told us that our account's under review, so we've kind of switched over to Boosty, so check that out down there. So yeah, if you would like to support the channel, it certainly makes the difference.
Yes.
It allows us to get out and film these videos and make them, because it does take a lot of time, and it's time we could be doing other things. And
we all gotta eat.
if you would like to buy merch, that's down there too. Unfortunately, it's not available in Russia yet. We're working on that. We had the test one sent with kind of logo thingy on it, and it shrunk in the wash, so the quality wasn't good. That was in the Russian side, so
wasn't good enough for you guys, so we're gonna try again.
Yeah, only the best quality. The stuff for the Western world, that's good quality. We've got relatives that have it, and that works pretty well. So yeah, we're not fully ready to launch that, but if you've watched the end, you've been rewarded. You know the secret is down there. For anybody wanting to immigrate to Russia, we have an immigration lawyer that we will link down below, and viewers of this channel will get 10% off of their services there. Yeah, it's definitely the way to go, because we didn't use that method. We didn't use an immigration lawyer, and it's been fairly
hard.
difficult. We've had all kinds of hiccups, so definitely recommend getting a lawyer to help you with all that. Anyway guys, thanks so much for watching. Check out this video up here. Hopefully you find that one interesting too, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.